Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try that again, shall we? Let's just completely start that again. Hello everyone, welcome to the Formula One watch-along for the Qatar sprint qualifying session. Let's get it underway. We are currently in SQ1 and we are a few minutes in, but no laps have been set from Kevin Magnussen, who currently sets the fastest time. Lance Stroll crosses the line. Zhou crosses the line as well. Many cars are setting their first laps. Bottas goes fastest as they went very, very quickly at the end of the FP1 session that we had earlier on. And they've beaten Sainz on their outlap. And this is what you get from a sprint qualifying session. Absolute chaos and no one where they should be, except from Charles Leclerc, the qualifying king, who is currently sitting P1. This will all be on mediums. We'll get Q2 on mediums, but Q3, SQ3 will be on the soft tyre, where everyone goes as fast as they possibly can with the limited testing that they have had in FP1. Colapinto rears up the field. Alex Albon, his teammate, goes up to P6 in the end. Verstappen is going to try and make it to the top 3. They make it top 2. And they are right behind Charles Leclerc, immediately on the pace for these guys, but on slightly, I say older tyres, they're on exactly the same tyres. Why would they be on older tyres? Oscar Piastri is going to be starting their next lap. Lando Norris is going fastest. Short, quick break, and I do apologise for that moment there, but we continue with the session, and it's really crunch time here in Qatar. It's very, very difficult to get things done in an F1 car regardless, so when you've got less time to put a decent lap in, obviously everyone's in the same boat, but it's just so crucial. And with championship fights happening in the constructors and in the drivers up and down the order, drivers trying to use these final 2 races to prove themselves, this is the perfect opportunity where the stakes are high and the mistakes that are made will cost you dearly, or if you do it right, you're gonna be loving life, basically. Lando Norris goes and takes the fastest time. Not the fastest final sector, however. They've got a little bit more time to find if they want to get that. Oscar Piastri, not going faster than his teammate, but is still going fairly quick. 28.1. We're going to, I say that, not anywhere near Lando Norris. So Lando Norris with 4/10 advantage to Charles Leclerc, absolutely flying at the moment. Oscar Piastri going to give it their best, but it's only 6th place, and they have been beaten by Valtteri Bottas. That is an incredible lap from the Sauber right there to start this session off. Sure, Oscar Piastri is 7/10 behind his teammate, but it's still a pretty good effort right there from the green car. Sonoda goes and beats Oscar Piastri. We've got Russell made it P2 on good form. Hamilton, his teammate, not able to match that so far, and they haven't got long left in this session to try and do some more. Magnussen goes and takes it P3 and drops down Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Purple in the first sector is Carlos Sainz. It was actually purple for Russell in the final sector right there, but Carlos Sainz is going faster, and they might be able to try and get themselves into the top spot here. Who is going to get knocked out? That is the real question. It is going to be incredibly difficult. Currently, Alonso sits at the back of the pack. Lance Stroll goes up to P4. 5 minutes still on the clock. Bottas improves again, and they are 1/10 away. 1/10 away. The track evolution is absolutely crazy. The dust is clearing on the circuit, and everyone is going absolutely everywhere. Carlos Sainz takes the top spot, as we assume. Leclerc goes faster immediately, as I saw the timings light up in the middle sector there. Brilliant, brilliant job indeed there from Charles Leclerc. Still, I say at the back, it's now Colapinto who then moved up ahead, and that is Liam Lawson, who is currently last. I think they've had an issue as they went off into the gravel. That could be goodbye to Liam Lawson. With 4 minutes on the clock, they do have an opportunity to go again. They aren't going in the pit lane, so they are pushing one more time, and they're going to give it their best shot to see if they can get in this session. Whether they do a prep lap or not, I don't quite know, but a few cars will have had to go in and come back out. I say that. I don't know if anyone actually has gone in. I think they're all on the same tyres, which would make sense because you get a limited set anyway. Gasly goes fastest in the middle sector, takes it to P4 in the end. His teammate is going to cross the line very soon as well. What's it going to be for Esteban Ocon? They go up into the top 15 and go 10th for now. Is that safe, however? I don't quite know. We'll see how it goes. Perez looking to try and get themselves out of the first stage of qualifying here in Qatar. It's not so simple. They had a difficult practice session. Are they dialed in? Now they get to qualifying. It's better than it was. That is a P9 just ahead of Alex Albon as Lando Norris improves once again, and that is a 10th advantage and more. But Oscar Piastri is improving again. Hamilton's improving again. I don't think these guys are going to be able to beat Lando Norris, but they are still going to be able to make themselves in a bit more of a comfortable situation. Currently, Lewis Hamilton is in the drop zone. Piastri is in the drop zone right there. Liam Lawson has done a brilliant job to get themselves into, I say, the top 10, immediately knocked out by Piastri, who sets their lap. We've got Russell going fastest again in the form of his life at the moment. Absolutely incredible stuff. Final corner it is going to be for Lewis Hamilton. What will they get as they cross the line? They beat their teammate temporarily. Verstappen crosses the line, but George Russell up to P2 and sets exactly the same lap time as Lando Norris, a little bit like Canada in last year with Max Verstappen. That's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Was it this year, actually? It was this year, setting exactly the same lap time. But Lando Norris got it first, so he takes that top spot. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. 1 minute and 57 seconds on the clock. I don't think we're going to get too many more improvements, but there will be a few drivers trying to have another cool-down lap. Pierre Gasly up there, he crosses the line to, I assume, go again. Esteban Ocon is going to need to find a bit more if they want to be safe. Both Aston Martins looking to be knocked out here. Colapinto and Hulkenberg is actually a surprise. We've got Zhou in P18 ahead of Hulkenberg. That is Lewis Hamilton riding over the curb, actually, as he has taken a little bit of a, not a chunk, but a scraping on the bottom of that floor. But Hulkenberg down in P19, his teammate P10 doing a brilliant job so far in the later part of this season, really tried to bring the game up a little bit. But Colapinto not enjoying this circuit, never driven here before. It is quite demanding on the G-force and usually on the temperature, although it is cooler than it used to be. Will they be able to pick things up? I don't quite know. It's not looking so simple for them, however. Lots of drivers crossing the line to start their final runs. 47 seconds on the clock, and we're going to get a lot of traffic here. Looking on the screen right now, that is a massive build-up of many cars who are probably going to end up impeding themselves. Gasly is going to get impeded, I reckon, by Hamilton and Zhou. Gasly's not going to be happy with that one. Will they be lucky to stay in? We saw Hamilton and Zhou on the apex of turn 16 as Gasly came through the corner. We will only be able to find out what happened once we see a replay, but there it is, 15 seconds on the clock. Will we see anybody else get another lap in? Is Norris going to go straight back into the pit lane? Is Russell going to go straight back into the pit lane as well? I think they might as well, but they're not going to risk it. They're going to go one more time. Lance Stroll to P6. I think it's a good idea that they've gone one more time because everybody is starting to improve yet again. You are not safe. Lance Stroll up to P6 in the later stages. Kevin Magnussen goes up to P7. A brilliant job. Hulkenberg gets himself into the top 15, but is he safe? I don't know who is safe at this stage. It's so close. Alonso improves once again. That does put Sergio Perez in the drop zone as everybody is coming through. A few cars now finished. It's going to be Sergio Perez 13th only. It could be a big upset right here. Liam Lawson beats Sergio Perez by the smallest of margins. Bottas up to P7. Bottas up to P7. Absolutely incredible stuff right here. He's really making a claim here for the Cadillac team that's coming in the 2026. Colapinto improves, but only one position. Alex Albon gets themselves into the next part of qualifying as Perez is knocked out. Ocon, Tsunoda, they're going to try and fight back if they possibly can. Ocon, I don't think so. Tsunoda might have a chance here. Verstappen makes themselves a lot safer, but are they really going to make a difference? It's Tsunoda who goes P11, and that is going to be qualifying here in Qatar for SQ1. Ouch for Perez and Colapinto down the order. Tsunoda's not going to be happy being beaten by his teammate Esteban Ocon in exactly the same situation. And Joe, that's going to be disappointing considering his teammate is P9. Valtteri Bottas, absolutely awesome drive. That is SQ1 complete. But we're not quite done yet for qualifying, as the critics of Sergio Perez were trying to be put to bed, as he wants to make sure that everyone knows he is driving again next season, but it may not look so simple. Alrighty, I do apologise. It was very, very crowded in qualifying, as we expected from the pictures in FP1. But yeah, everyone is seeming to struggle a little bit. Sergio Perez complaining that Charles Leclerc was impeding him by attempting to overtake him, but at the same time not. So he backed off. Gasly was impeded by many cars who were just waiting on the racing line, so he had to dive to the inside and take the apex. He still travelled very quickly through the corner, but definitely nowhere near as quick as he would have liked to if he was actually setting a competitive lap time. That is the session. It's Sergio Perez, Tsunoda, Ocon, Zhou and Colapinto who is out of qualifying. That is a difficult one for sure. A very, very difficult one. As Colapinto is dead last. They were struggling in practice. So was Perez as well. And I think it was Ocon as well. So all the bottom three have been knocked out. Not quite in the same order, but they have been knocked out from those guys from FP1 into SQ1. SQ2 will be coming around very, very shortly. We'll get another medium tyre run. And those medium tyres really seem to be working now. The McLarens have dialed their cars in. I think they were maybe sandbagging a little bit, or they were just not quite up to speed with the session as soon as the Ferraris were, possibly earlier on in the practice session. The softs, I think, are going to be definitely McLaren territory. I think tomorrow on race or sprint day, but also, well, I said, will we be on the hards for the sprint? I think we'll probably just be on the mediums for the sprint. If we get to the sprint, the Grand Prix, sorry, and we are on the hard tyre, that is where the Ferraris will benefit the most, according to what we saw in practice at least. Mercedes definitely not ones to rule out. I think with the McLaren team and Ferrari, they're going to be fighting for that championship. If anything goes a little bit sideways with them, as we've seen many times this season before, those Mercedes, they are actually going to be in the fight. And there's been a couple of times where I thought, you know what, the Mercedes, they're maybe not going to have it. Not this time, not this weekend. But all of a sudden, they turn up and it works out. So it might be all right here for the Mercedes team. They might be able to get a bit of a result if anything's to go wrong. I don't know if they'll be able to hold on. That being said, with the colder temperatures that we saw in Vegas, they were effectively dominant. So actually, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe everything is, yeah, to be ignored. Right there, we'll see. Nothing really important to note there. On the race control messages, it is a simple message that we get each time. No one gets a penalty for that, at least from what I've seen. No one has got a penalty. It is just what it is. Now, SQ2 still not quite on its way, but we will get it in a few moments' time. Sergio Perez just wrestling the car, not having a good time at all. That's what sees him out of the session. And it's just soaring away effectively, like a coping saw almost. And it's not coping very well. I do wonder what it is for that Red Bull, if they're struggling with tyre temperature or if it is more of a suspension thing. I say suspension, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Whether it's something different on the car than the tyres. The tyres are a mystery for a few teams, it seems. But in the faster stages, I think that the McLaren seems to be absolutely epic, which is weird to say. Usually I would have said the McLaren is the race pace car. That's the one that we're looking at, as we see SQ2 underway with 10 minutes on the clock. Usually we would see the McLaren car being the race pace car. It has the better pace at the end of a race distance. But this time around, at least from what I can gather, which could be wrong, it could change very quickly, that McLaren doesn't have the ability to match the Ferrari in the temperatures that we currently have. Now, if that's the case, I don't quite know. And usually we've seen other cars be faster at the beginning of races, and maybe tyre degradation will still bring McLaren back into the race, regardless of if they're able to compete well on a hard tyre. I don't know, but we'll see. I think the Mercedes, historically, if you look back to Austin, have been very, very quick in the opening stages of a Grand Prix, but then backed off. That's in slightly hotter temperatures compared to Vegas, but this is colder than Austin, and not similar to Vegas, but it is a bit better towards Vegas. And will it be possible for them to compete? They also did very, very well in Silverstone, of course, where it was very cold track conditions with the rain coming in as well as Canada with the rain coming in. So I think if the Mercedes can benefit, then they can definitely have a strong car. Will they get onto the podium? I think they can get one car onto the podium, but I don't know if they can have the same kind of weekend that they had last time around. I think everything has to go right, but it is really about the Constructors' Championship between Ferrari and McLaren. Max Verstappen is going to start their first lap. We're going to get a first actual lap started by Nico Hülkenberg, who will set the pace into the first sector, and we'll see what they can do. These are some used tyres. I think that's a little bit of a mistake maybe from... Yes, it is. I'm reading it wrong. I don't think that is going to be the correct tyre that Oscar Piastri is out on. There you go. It's immediately corrected. Currently, Hülkenberg is going faster by 4 hundredths of a second compared to his teammate. Verstappen's gone and taken that purple sector. Hülkenberg sets the pace. 6.81, a 27.681. Magnussen, a 27.860. So almost 2 tenths down right there, which isn't exactly ideal scenarios for them. So, yeah. Magnussen's got a little bit more time to find, I think, as Hülkenberg's got dialed into this session a bit more after they found their form later on in the session. Maybe they're just able to maintain that consistency, as it's almost half a second away that Magnussen is. Verstappen goes and takes it away immediately by over 2 tenths from Hülkenberg, but Carlos Sainz should have a pretty quick car. They're actually starting their lap. We'll see also Leclerc start a lap very shortly. Who will we get completing a lap? I want to see. Albon will not be. We're going to get... It's going to be Alonso, Stroll. It's going to be Lawson. We've got Leclerc, who did actually set a lap. Sorry, I misread that. It is actually a lap, and that is half a tenth ahead of Max Verstappen as Lawson does eventually set theirs. 9 tenths behind the current top time, but 1.5 tenths behind Kevin Magnussen, the next car that has set a lap time. They are currently P last on the order. Lance Stroll is going to go and set immediately a P5. That's Kevin Magnussen getting a lap time deleted, unfortunately, for track limits. That's turn 6. An interesting one right there. I don't know how they've managed to do that. That must have been on exit they've just extended. So, yeah, it's out of all the corners that I expect people to extend track limits at, that's the least likely one, but they've done it. It's not impossible to do so, and that is their first lap done, and they've got to make sure that they find a second lap, otherwise they are guaranteed out. Will they be able to find themselves back in to the top 10 of this session and make it into SQ3, as Haas would be absolutely loving to have ahead of the Alpines, to try and make sure that they get that position back in the constructors and take those extra millions of dollars in the championship home to the factory. Piastri goes and sets a purple middle sector. They're looking to try and set the pace. Alex Albon is going to cross the line to set their first lap. It's going to be a P6 for now, ahead of both Aston Martin cars. We've got Lawson, I was going to say Lawson, who's set another lap time. They haven't. It's Magnussen that's got the lap time deleted. I mixed that one up. Gasly goes and sets a P6. Not as quick as we've seen them before relative to the rest of the grid. Piastri into P1 immediately. And by a slight margin, just under 1/10 of a second, they have ahead of Charles Leclerc. Now, Mercedes, it's very, very interesting that they haven't really done anything regarding setting a lap time until now. And as we saw earlier on, the later you leave it, the more likely you will have traffic at the end of the lap, and that is where you're going to struggle. I think what they're looking to do is do one lap, one very, very quick cooldown lap, and then another immediately, in the hope that they can avoid the traffic that way. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. They're looking to try and get maximum track evolution here, but it is definitely a big risk. And they are currently sat P12 and 13 and could possibly see themselves knocked out. Russell does go fastest. After me saying everything about Mercedes there, about them not really being that competitive, I don't know. I've maybe completely messed that one up. Russell and Hamilton have actually already set a banker lap, but it was way off pace, so nothing really worth writing home about at all. Actually, you should probably be getting a letter sent home if you set a lap time like that. But we've got Russell, who is looking to try and upset the scene as they are going purple. Purple final sector for Carlos Sainz as they improve to the top of the times. But George Russell has got a couple more corners to go, one more corner to go, and they will be setting their pace. Bottas goes to P12, not quite able to find too many more positions compared to what they did earlier on as everyone dials their cars up. That is George Russell, 3.5 tenths just shy of into P1. Absolutely incredible efforts right there from the British driver. Hamilton to P7, only 7 tenths away from his teammate. Absolutely crazy. Lando Norris is looking to immediately take everything purple back once again, as it's gonna be a P6, but it will shortly turn, I assume, into a P1. Charles Leclerc currently sits P3. They've taken that purple final sector. That's Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri has had a lap time deleted. Lando Norris does beat it by 2.5 tenths. Absolutely massive margins right here as the track just continues to evolve here in Qatar, as the lights are definitely on and the sky is night black. Piastri currently going again. They are purple in the first sector. Crunch time is definitely upon them, and they're trying to make it count when it matters. But we've seen them a few times this weekend already ride over the gravel. They can't afford to do that again. They've got to keep it clean. An improvement on their previous time in the middle sector. This could be enough. It could be enough. Once again going over the gravel. They've just got to make sure that they keep it tidy. One final corner. Will Oscar Piastri be making it in to SQ3, or are they going to be knocked out? It's looking good, and it's looking like a P3. Brilliant job there from Oscar Piastri. Absolutely epic. A very, very lucky moment right there for the Australian driver. And I don't know, but that wasn't looking great. That was not looking great. We'll see how it goes. A big toe here for Lance Stroll as they go down the straight. What's it going to be? It's going to be a P9. Fernando Alonso, the teammate, is looking to improve here in the final stages of the session. We've got Alonso. We've got Stroll who's just set that lap. I don't think we're going to get any more improvements, at least for the moment. A few cars might be looking to set one final improvement lap if they can get around in time. P9 immediately for Alonso as they knock down Stroll. That could be Gasly, Albon, Lawson, Bottas and Magnussen out of the session. Verstappen is coming round the final corner. They're looking to possibly improve. I don't know if they're actually going to improve, but it's going to be an attempt at least. And they will not improve. Oh, actually, sorry, they do improve on their lap time. I do apologise. They actually go purple in that final sector. Absolutely perfect right there from them. Half a second away from the current top time. However, it is looking pretty difficult. The top 7, as expected. Then we've got Hülkenberg, Alonso and Stroll. I'm going to be honest, with the form that Gasly had, I wasn't expecting both Aston Martins to be where they are. Alex Albon has knocked down Lance Stroll. As the clock is done, who's going to take the checkered flag first? It is Alex Albon who's done it and getting that lap time in. Lawson immediately knocks them down to P8, down to P9 as Hülkenberg improves again. Alonso could still stay in this session as Alex Albon just didn't do enough. Hamilton makes himself safe as they go up to P4. Gasly, Pierre Gasly, can they find it again? They can. P9, and they knock down Fernando Alonso. P10 for Liam Lawson, and Alonso will not set an improvement lap, neither will Lance Stroll. What a shame there for Aston Martin, but what an effort for Gasly, Lawson and Hülkenberg. Brilliant stuff right there in the closing stages, as Albon is going to be incredibly frustrated. Bottas has given it a very good shot, starting P13 for tomorrow's sprint race, and Lance Stroll P14, Magnussen in P15. After being on the back foot, getting that lap time deleted, they just weren't able to find the form once again, and unfortunately it didn't go their way. Once again, Lando Norris topping the times, and by quite a margin. 2.5 tenths ahead of George Russell, who was looking to go absolutely massively ahead, but there was a response from that orange car. Piastri not too far away. Hamilton finding a very late but very healthy lap time right there at the end. Still a little way off their teammate, but enough to be ahead of Verstappen, Sainz and Leclerc. Liam Lawson is currently on top of the world at the moment. They've not only beaten their teammate, who they're fighting for that Red Bull seat next season, but they've also got out of the next session as well. Absolutely incredible stuff. The margins are tiny here in Formula 1 in 2024. Absolutely awesome. Good evening, Devon. Good evening. I hope you are doing well. Just waiting for that SQ3 session. I'm going to give it a prediction now. Who do I reckon's going to take the top 3? I mean, I think I can't remember what I said before. I think I said Piastri. I said, well, what did I say? Piastri, Leclerc, and I don't know if it was a Mercedes or if I don't think it was a Mercedes. I think it was Piastri, Leclerc, and Norris or Sainz maybe. I can't quite remember. Maybe it was Sainz on pole. I don't know. Or Leclerc. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm going to change it now because I think it's pretty outdated considering what we've just seen so far. Can Piastri get this in the final session? Can they get the job done? Can they find the extra tenths? Well, they did just set one decent lap under immense pressure, because that was their final opportunity to set a competitive lap time. I think the grid could line up as it currently is. I reckon we could get Norris, Russell, Piastri, Hamilton, Verstappen. I don't know where the Ferraris will follow out. I would hope, at least for Ferrari's sake, that they would be able to beat Verstappen as we go to SQ3. Verstappen, if they can find themselves even a little bit further up, that will be awesome. They'll be right in that fight for possibly the victory, as they've been so successful in the past with sprint races. The only sprint race that they haven't won, I believe, is Brazil. And I think, haven't they won every sprint race since? I think they've done that, or before that, I should say. But yeah, Brazil, the last sprint race that we had, and they managed to do a pretty good job. Everywhere else, I should say. Alright. As we wait for the next session, I'm just gonna give my final prediction for the qualifying session. It's gonna be I don't want to be boring. I'm going to go risky. It's going to be George Russell on pole position. It's going to be Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. To make it a top 5, it's going to be Carlos Sainz and Hamilton. To make it a top 7, it's then going to be Leclerc and Verstappen. That is really, really bold. That is really bold. I wasn't actually talking about this season only, so I've got that wrong. Yes, he did win here last year. So actually, Verstappen's washed around Qatar. No, he won the race, and he actually won the championship on that sprint race, so he's definitely not washed. He is the best driver in the world right now, statistically speaking, considering the World Championship, of course. Current form is absolutely awesome. Now, just waiting for the final moments and that confirmation that we'll get that green flag, and we'll find out who will go top in this session. It was a hell of an effort for Valtteri Bottas to get into SQ2. It was a brilliant job for Liam Lawson to get themselves into SQ3. Gasly, I want to say that it's unexpected, but I don't know, recent form, it's just kind of expected that he gets into the third part of qualifying. He's doing an absolutely amazing job, whereas his teammate was knocked out and is P18 for tomorrow's sprint race. Now, for SQ3, what's going to be the biggest mix-up? I don't know. But if we've had a mix-up in the first part of qualifying, we've had a mix-up in the second part of qualifying. I say a mix-up, just a good competition at the back end of the top 10. Will we see a good competition for pole position? I think we can. I think we can. It will be absolutely epic, but who will come out on top? Will it be as expected, or will it be as I have predicted? There is the green flag. We can go qualifying for the final time here this evening for a sprint qualifying. And who will be out first? It will be Liam Lawson, who is definitely one of the ones to watch for the rest of this season. They've got a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Here we go then. SQ3 is on its way and we finally get the soft tyres on and all the cars will be going at their maximum pace, considering the lack of practice that they have had, of course. So we'll probably be going faster tomorrow in qualifying, but this will be our best look at the cars going as fast as they possibly can, and it will be a preview into the qualifying session tomorrow. It will start the grid for tomorrow's sprint race as well. This is going to be epic. 6 minutes already on the clock as you start with 8 minutes only in the third part of a sprint qualifying session. Currently Lawson is going to be setting that lap first as they are the first one to start the clock. Gasly will follow on, followed by Verstappen. Now, if you look at the order that we just came from in SQ2, we would expect Lawson to set the lap time first and be at the top. Gasly could possibly beat him immediately, then Verstappen would take that immediately again. I don't know why I had to mention that, but it's something interesting. It's something that I remembered, and my memory isn't that great. So, to be honest, to be able to remember that is pretty impressive. Maybe even more impressive than Bottas getting into SQ2. We'll see. We'll see if anything else more impressive happens this weekend. But so far, that's definitely up there. Will we see a front row lockout from the Mercedes team? Currently, it is just a graphic thing. It's not actually happening. But would that be possible? It might be. It might be. If both Mercedes can finally get themselves dialed in for qualifying instead of just one, then it could work out quite nicely. We've once again got some racing between the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. Instead of Perez and Leclerc, it's Verstappen and Sainz instead racing around the circuit in qualifying, just trying to get track position. I say that actually, it's not. I think it was just Carlos Sainz in the way as Verstappen was on a lap. Lawson goes and sets the fastest time. We're going to get Gasly, who I'd assume would be able to beat them, and they do so by just under 2.5 tenths. Verstappen is the next one to set a lap time, as they're not going purple, as they have backed off, it looks like, in that middle sector. So they were impeded, and they're going to have to go again. We've got Charles Leclerc going purple, very, very quick so far. They're looking to try and top the times. Russell is going to be following behind them. I don't know why Russell's followed so closely, but he's going to get a tow as they'll start their next lap. There is Leclerc. Russell goes to P4 for now, ahead of Verstappen. So yes, they are looking for the tow. They'll get a lovely tow into the first corner. That is going to help them nicely. Lando Norris, in the meantime, all on their own. I believe they didn't get a tow, is currently purple in that first sector, and McLaren are definitely picking up the pace. And as I predicted, and Heisch predicted as well, this McLaren should be very, very quick on the soft tyres. This is where it's going to come alive in the sprintier, absolutely high-intensity sections of the weekend. I think this is going to be where Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri will come alive. Could it be a McLaren 1-2? Will Mercedes be able to find form? Well, right now, looking at the times, it's not going to be so possible. I say that, though. Hamilton is currently purple in that first sector. Lando Norris goes and takes it by almost 7 tenths of a second ahead of Leclerc. Piastri will go and make it 1.5 tenths just over, right behind their teammate, and that is very, very good for both McLaren cars to be in that position. But Hamilton is looking a little bit scary. 27.3 in the middle sector, 2 tenths down in the middle sector is Hamilton, but still pretty quick in that, 1 tenth up, I should say, in the first sector. Will they be able to find it in that final sector? Verstappen goes fastest in the final sector as they finally get a lap in. Hamilton, what's it going to be? Are they going to be to P1? No, they're not. They've had an absolute rotter in the final section of the circuit, according to the McLaren cars, and they're going to be in P5 behind their teammate. So a car that has managed to get a purple first sector doesn't even end up in the top 3, let alone on the top spot. They're down in P6, and that is not what they're going to be happy about. Well, they're not going to be happy about it. They're going to be happy that they're competing from the front, for the front positions, but they're not going to be happy with that. That is Charles Leclerc going all over the curbs on the exit, and then having to dart out the way of the Mercedes ahead of them of George Russell, that would have been. but George Russell won't be penalised for anything like that situation that they were just involved in, so I don't think they need to worry. We've got 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock for this session, and it is all going to get a bit difficult. We've got Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri starting their final laps of the session to make sure that they can hold that front row lockout for the team when it matters most to try and secure the championship. Would they be able to secure the championship this weekend before we even get to Abu Dhabi? That would be pretty spectacular for them, and they would definitely love that for sure. Verstappen is going to be starting their final lap too. We're going to have everyone except from, I believe it's Hulkenberg, starting their final lap very shortly, but right now Nico Hulkenberg is the only one to be on a competitive lap time. They haven't set a lap time so far. Well, I say that. On this tyre, they're on a fresh set of tyres. So they have absolutely timed this to, I say, perfection. They're hoping that they don't get any traffic, as Gasly was just on their inside. I say that, maybe they're on the outside, but they were possibly in the way there as they do go through the final few corners. Looks somewhat clear as they had to just make sure that they navigated their way past Charles Leclerc, who will get a lovely tow into the first corner. That is going to be Nico Hulkenberg into P7. Will they be able to hold on to that though? Oscar Piastri goes purple in the first sector, but it's not an improvement for Norris or Piastri in the middle sector. No improvement for Norris in the first sector either. Norris backs off and gives up, lets it go. Oscar Piastri, will they continue? Will they continue this lap? I don't quite know. It's going to be across the line, and it is going to be a lap set, but no improvement. It's a lap set, but it is no improvement. Max Verstappen improves in the first sector, but not in the middle sector. Who will be going after that? It will be Russell, who is improving in both sectors. This is for position. Obviously, the two McLarens have not been able to improve, but it's not like they backed out on purpose, that they didn't need to worry. They've still got to try and make sure they hold on to this. Verstappen is not going to be able to improve position-wise. That is it for the Dutchman. They will sit P4 despite improving purple in that middle sector. Russell upsets the top two, and they make it a P2 for Mercedes. What will Hamilton do? They will not be able to improve. They will sit behind. Liam Lawson gets ahead of Nico Hulkenberg in these last stages. Carlos Sainz has got to try and find their way ahead, and they do. Up to P4, ahead of Max Verstappen, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and crucially, ahead of their teammate who does improve a little bit, but they don't quite get there on the Spaniard. As they go to P5, Gasly immediately takes down Lawson and Hulkenberg, and that is qualifying done. George Russell manages to take away a front row lockout from the McLaren crew, but they do make it a top 3 Mercedes power engine unit. I don't know why I had to say that, but that's qualifying done. That is SQ done. Sprint qualifying. Lando Norris takes the top spot. George Russell into P2 and Piastri in P3. I didn't quite get it right, but I gave it a shot. I went bold. I thought Russell would be able to get there, and they weren't that far off. Considering that McLaren is absolutely awesome, they weren't that far off. That was a hell of a session. Lando Norris takes pole position. We've got Russell in P2, then we've got Piastri, Sainz, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Gasly, Hulkenberg, as Liam Lawson has just had a lap time deleted right there at turn 6, as did Magnussen earlier on the same corner. That has just made a little bit more of a change and maybe helped out Yuki Tsunoda a little bit more if he wasn't in enough of a ditch scenario at the moment. So that is qualifying done. Who do I think is going to win the sprint race tomorrow? I think it's going to be Lando Norris. I think it's then going to be Piastri, and I think it's going to be George Russell. I think it's just going to be a switch between Piastri and Russell for the top 3. I think for qualifying tomorrow, we'll probably get Lando Norris, Piastri and Russell. I don't think we're going to get much of a change, but I think the McLarens will manage to dial in their final runs, and I think they'll be able to nail that front row lockout. We'll see how it goes though. Thank you very much everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you tomorrow for the sessions. We'll see you later on for the LSI F1 World Championship race in Belgium in a few moments' time. Of course, that'll be 8 p.m. GMT. That is 9 p.m. CET. I believe it's 15 ET and maybe 12 PT, or would it be 11? I don't quite know. I'll have to double check that for next time. But we'll see you tomorrow for the other sessions, for of course the sprint race in Qatar and also the qualifying session in Qatar, where the cars go at their absolute maximum pace that we'll see, and they're definitely going to be going a lot quicker than last year, that's for sure. Once again, thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next time. Lando Norris is your pole sitter for the sprint race tomorrow. Bye bye.